Now listen, we definitely got him mad yesterday and I wasn't sure if I was going to go after the cupcake today, but after seeing this, that's like the bad signal to me. So, listen. You know they're going to be mad. You know they're not going to like this, but you know we have to do it. So, get ready. Say it with me and leave a like before we go any further. Now when it comes to Drake, Aubrey Graham, Adin Ross, and Steak, you are finished. And if you are ready to see how the cupcake is in trouble and well, after being super corny, all eyes are on him because now the tables have turned and he is not the one suing, but he is getting sued himself. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe. And I'm just going to take a second to quiet down because I'm not going to make it through this one if I keep getting this excited already. But listen, the Drake stans are going to be really mad when we inevitably just discuss the obvious. So once again, I'm just going to ask to make sure to leave a like and subscribe because honestly right now guys, it's a good day. It's a good time to be a hip-hop fan. It's a good time to enjoy some good new music. And well, it's also a good time to just be on the right side of the downfall of Drake, which now has reached a point where honestly Quentin Tarantino, Martin Scorsese, or Christopher Nolan couldn't have wrote this better. And the reason why I say that is because if we do a quick little history lesson, well, around August, there started to be some rumors that Drake and the awful people he works with at Stake were having some sort of a falling out. And while Drake wasn't able to pull out things from his balance and Drake started kind of crashing out on Steak Eddie, who is like the leader of this operation that honestly makes the actual Legion of Lame look like winners compared to how lame these people are. But now after some rumors that Karen and his buddies were beefing and they weren't on good terms, and you know even Drake was speaking about this to Adin Ross and Adin Ross had to pick sides like this was some ridiculous argument or something, which I'm not even going to dive into this anymore because it's too pathetic for me to even think about. Well, what matters now is that ever since Drake's cupcake season, and what I mean by that is the cupcake's birthday coming around and him turning 39 has arrived. Well, after not being on speaking terms and not doing any work for them over the past few months, Drake came back and was making these ridiculously embarrassing and humiliating videos for them where he was trying to deceive his fans into actually using Stake and well just taking part in a service which is not going to end up well for them, which especially in this time with everything we are seeing with the NBA. Honestly, for Drake for him to lean into this more than ever right now, I don't know. To me, it just speaks away. But that's not the point here. But what the point is that right after Drake was filming these little videos and posting them and showing that his relationship with Stake was back and you know they were doing the best things for their fans. Well, now what came out last night as I was listening to Tyler the Creator's redefined deluxe version of Chromacopia called Chromacopia Plus, which quick side note, I have a video on that which you definitely should watch after because if you need a refresher from all this Drake stuff, that is the perfect thing to just get lost in. But now, point of the story is that as I was listening to this album, I saw a notification that came out which told me that Drake, Adin Ross, and Stake are facing a class action lawsuit in Missouri federal court. Well, for promoting the awful things that Stake does promote and doing it in a way where you know what, and for Supac, this is wild to see. Well, it's going against the rules and regulations of what's supposed to be followed and complied with. And so now overall, just to give a little more context, this was filed on October 27th, so only yesterday. And the suit claims that Drake and Adin misled fans by appearing to use their own bread for this while they were allegedly using the funds that Stake was giving them, which ultimately just set up a false narrative and really just created a false sense of utilization for the service. To all of these impressionable fans of Drake and Adin who thought, well, if they're using it and they're doing good and they're having a good time, well, maybe I should. And now with this, what they are trying to do now is hold Drake and Adin specifically liable for any of the bread that well fans lost using their misleading services and just the false world building that they have tried to do with Stake for so long, which honestly when you look at it is so pathetic. And listen right now while the drink stands are trying to be the keyboard warrior lawyers, and you know I saw some guy trying to talk about what celebrity speech means and how he's protected, which honestly I don't think he knows, and I would not take any legal advice from anybody even remotely affiliated with OVO because we just saw how that went. Well, overall things are bad. And you know what makes this all even worse is that when it comes to this idea of Drake and Adin using actual resources from Stake that are not theirs and they're misleading fans well into using things that they think are their own. But again, it's all Stake's own resources and it's not actually Drake and Adin putting up well their own bags and then their own risks and losses. Well, while the OVO stans are trying to find a way to get Drake out of losing a lot and General Graham's, we got them. We have literal proof and full admission of Drake and all the little Stake buddies admitting that well the resources they are using were not actually theirs. Which now just get ready for this because it's probably going to annoy you as much as it annoys me to hear Drake even speak. But here is actual clips from the Legion of Lame's last full-on gathering where Drake, Adin Ross, XQC, Party Next Door, and Steak Eddie and a few others will just really admitted to everything they are being accused for here. No. Come on, Eddie. Eddie, come on. Yeah, right there. No, come on. Just added 500k to vault balance, please. Okay, I'm sweating. If you can see my pit stains, I am stressing. Yes. Okay, we're Drake, we're clear. Yeah, we're clear. We're good. Thank you. We're ready. Eddie, I owe you one. I actually owe you one. Oh my god. Wow. And my that win came through. Oh, wow. Oh my god. Wow. Train. Good. Good lord. We clear. Thank goodness. Good Eddie. I love you. Just know that I say this publicly and out loud. I love you. Good man. Thank you. Good man. I don't want to get in the way of this energy. The crew assembled here right now needs to stick together. I'm not here to ruin that synergy. I need you guys to lock in, get some win. You need to get those clips viral, and just have a few of them with the Steak logo really clear and big. Yeah. Just do what you do best. Talking crazy like, oh yeah, like you guys and you like fake. Yo, listen to me when I tell you the amount of hours and the amount of that I've been through with these guys in this chat right here. Ups and downs, real money, spending each other money. Doing this, doing that. These guys I put it on everything I love. These guys are out here giving you the purest that you can possibly get. So, what you can feel however you want to feel and that's what I'm going to say. And you can take it. You can take it or leave it. And so now after hearing that and hearing how Drake is pretty much talking about how Steak Eddie is the person who is always making him look like he is losing or I guess winning so much and just sending these false ideas and narratives to all their fans. I mean there's no working around this or trying to excuse this. We see everything right here which is that for Drake this whole game is just a grift where he has been doing the absolute worst things to his own fans. And honestly, if we just look at this from a fan perspective, as at the end of the day, it is the people who follow Drake and Adin and OVO who are pretty much falling to this grand plan that has literally been designed to take away their own hard-earned resources to utilize a service that is just absolutely terrible for you. And even when we look at the way Steak has done everything, which Drake and Adin have really been some of the main puppets for this, well, both in terms of the audience they are putting this in front of, and even just the misleading stuff that the entire community who is really around this whole Drake-verse, you could say, with also academics and XQC and all these other weird pages that academics runs where you always seeing the constant reminders of Steak in every single post, no matter what it is. Well, ultimately when you really break it down, Steak has been doing things that are just completely not allowed and are not following basic compliance guidelines and to see something finally speak out and say, hey, this is wrong and you got to make this right. Well, it's not just the morally correct thing to do, especially within this time that we are in, which I only think is about to get more crazy with everything not just going on with Drake and Adin Ross and Steak, but also with the NBA and sports as a whole. And honestly, just when you see Drake running around like the loser content creator wannabe Karen that was just making all these little Steak videos and he seemingly put more effort into them than actual music making or just making any sort of a quality or worthwhile experience within his art. Well, it doesn't just show where his priorities are at, which I mean, we've already known that this guy's just an absolute joke and a disgrace to everything in art and hip-hop has ever stood for, but it's honestly just poetic justice. No pun intended, because genuinely this is what you asked for and this is the type of pressure and situation you wanted to be put in for so many different reasons. Both in terms of the fact that you decided to partner up with Steak and you really have made one of the most just disgusting moves as the figure that you are, which is to really just try to push these things onto your younger audience, which again you can't even debate this because as Drake has been trying to make music that's appealing to all of the newest trends, which is appealing to all of the new listeners like all the stuff we've seen him do with Essential C, and all these other people like Yachty and everybody there, the audience that Drake is trying to serve and the people that he is trying to look cool to. So if that's the core audience that he is aiming for as opposed to somebody like a Kendrick Lamar or even a J. Cole whose fans are growing with them and they are trying to mature and attract whatever audience wants to listen to their heightened experiences and stories in life, for Drake to always try to stay to the hip crowd. I guess you think, and then you want this very hip crowd to then get into stake, because this is the very goal of why you would do this in the first place and why they would give you all the resources they have. We don't talk about these things enough in the music industry and just in general, but this is what we would say is just morally wrong and honestly just shameful to do, especially at the extent and level that you have. And that's just one angle to look at this whole thing from, because even when we look at Drake being the lawsuit Karen, and we saw everything he tried to do with Not Like Us, which if we really break down the case, Drake was really just making a spite move to inconvenience and try to make every single person's life who was involved in the label system and Kendrick Lamar's team as a whole as messy and annoying as it possibly could be, and really on no sort of merit or no sort of actual reason and ground to genuinely try to push the narratives that you were, which is of course what we ended up seeing as the case was dismissed. And so I say all of that to just properly contextualize what's happening here and just to understand how for Drake this is what you asked for, and you tried to play this game where you pushed all of the wrong things and yet tried to literally sue other people for no reason. And I'm not saying this is a grand plot or that a label is doing this or that this is coming from any sort of other weird group that the Drake stans are trying to say, but what I am simply saying is that when you put something out into the universe and do something like this, there can be consequences, especially when you have the pedigree and past that Drake does. And so really from here, it's going to be very interesting to just see what happens with this whole thing and how they try to handle it and figure it all out. But I think one of the clear things that we can take away from this and just start to really see more than we ever have is that for Drake, Adin Ross, and what I'm just going to call the Drakeverse with all of these other weird players and people who kind of just represent and do things that are not the best, you could say. Well, between the lawsuit being lost, some of the stuff that's happened to Adin and academics recently, just in terms of them being called out and really pushed back on for some of the awful things that they do, to now what we are seeing with Drake here. I mean, at least more than we ever have and more than we have ever seen in Drake's entire career. Things are really just starting to slip through the cracks, and we are finally starting to see beyond just getting your reputation absolutely humiliated after a rap, eat the genuine cracks and lies and deception that you used to pretty much just grift your career to the top for as long as you did just fall under. And people are really starting to see and understand who Aubrey Graham really is and the people that he has decided to affiliate himself with, which are all just genuinely terrible pretty much. And as we are finding out more and more, they don't care about their fans at all, and they don't care about any sort of goodwill with their audience, and they just want to take from them and take from them until there is nothing left that they can take. And so, for Drake and all the other players in this thing, it's going to be very interesting to see how they react and respond. Especially when we have literally seen them admit on major broadcasts, well, pretty much what the exact suit is accusing them and saying that they have done to their fans. And so, with this, we're going to be tapped in and we're going to see how everybody just responds and moves, and I am sure does the absolute worst thing they can to just address this situation as a whole. But, as it stands, what I have to say is that the stuff with Drake and his little buddies here, and then also with the stuff in the NBA, which I feel like is all very timely to just connect right here just in terms of what's happening and the precedent that's being set. Well, pretty much for these artists and stars and names who are skewing things and then trying to push these products which are not benefiting their fans, and at that they're young fans and they're getting them into things that are not going to do any good for their well-being and for their lives at a point where they don't even understand the real consequences and reality of it. I think to just see these people get called out and really pushed back on for something that honestly the way they get away with it has just seemed ludicrous at this point is just fair and again is poetic justice. And so really for Drake, it's going to be very interesting to see how all of this just really continues to crumble for him. But what I think we can clearly see right now is that no matter how everything ends up coming down, well, it's going to come down and it's only going to get a lot worse. And so yeah, that's all I got. Let me know your thoughts on Drake managing to embarrass himself to a really new low and be in one of the worst situations that he has ever been in, as now he is the one getting sued, which honestly just the irony of that is hilarious. Now, if you made it to this point in the video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. It really helps me out a ton. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. But if you want to stick around with me for a little longer, and I hope you do, well, listen. Sit back with me for a second. Take a break from all the Drake stuff and watch this other video that I made today, and it's a big day, so we had to do two things here on Tyler the Creator and the release of his deluxe album, Chromacobia Plus, which has a song which Tyler just called the most important of his career. And so, listen, what I'm gonna ask is that if you love me talking about Drake like this and you want to see more of it, well, hang out with me for a little longer and check out that video.